Hey guys, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a wrap up of all the books that I read over the course of spring this year of 2022. So all the books I read from March through May. I read a total of 5 books, so let's get right into it. The first book that I read, I started in February and finished it in March, which is why it is in this video. This book is a fan favorite here on BookTube. Y'all love this book so much, and I originally bought this book in 2020 with the intention of reading it right away. It has been 2 years and I still did not read it, but in February I was feeling the love in the air because of Valentine's Day, and so I thought I would pick up this much beloved romance novel. Enter Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I have been a diligent little soldier for 2 years, and I have skipped every review and every YouTube video I have seen on this book because I did not want it to be spoiled at all, and I knew my day was coming, and finally it did. So this book follows our main character Alex, who is the first son of the President of the United States, who in this book is a woman. He has a rivalry with the Prince of England. Then there are rumors in the papers and the media about how they're actually secretly best friends, and to keep this alliance good in the media's eyes, they kind of have to fake it and pretend that they are best friends of all time, even though they absolutely hate each other. This one was just so much fun. There's so much hijinks that ensue. It's just so funny and so ridiculous at some times, and it's also very heartwarming. I just really like it. I think Alex and Henry, I think that's his name, Alex and Henry, they have such a funny like banter with each other, and I just love like funny banter like that in books, especially romance books. This one I ended up giving a 5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, it was so fun, and it was perfect for me to read towards the end of winter because I kind of had like a rough winter seasonal depression wise, and I feel like this book definitely kind of pulled me out of that because it was just soft, fuzzy, warm. Both of the characters are very relatable, and it was just overall a fantastic book, and I highly recommend it. Yeah, like I said, I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. This was actually in one of my 5-star prediction videos, I believe like 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm just now getting to this, and I was right, and I actually did give it 5 stars, so I'm very impressed with myself. Pat on the back. So the next book that I read is Notes on a Nervous Planet by Matt Haig, and this one is a nonfiction that's kind of like a collection of thoughts, and it's just like a lot of segmented paragraphs, kind of advice on how to navigate a world that is very much connected to technology, very fast-paced, very anxiety-inducing, and he kind of talks about how to navigate it and how to better be mindful. So I think this book found me at a pretty good time. I was kind of in the mood for nonfiction, and my boyfriend had actually read this book before I did, and he really enjoyed it, and I thought that I should also read it too because kind of like buddy read. But anyways, yeah, so this one I did really enjoy. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars, and at first I was kind of unsure because it feels like he's kind of just listing off all these things that are like wrong with the world and that can like give you anxiety, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is kind of like making my anxiety worse. But then as he goes on in the book, he actually just talks about more about how to actually like deal with that and like deal with the anxiety that comes with those things. I ended up actually really enjoying this one. It definitely like made me think, and I had some very thought-provoking conversations with my boyfriend about the subject material in this book. So yeah, overall I'd say this is a really good one, especially if you like short books and you like nonfiction and you kind of like the self-help book kind of thing. I really enjoyed this one, gave 4 out of 5 stars, and I highly recommend it. So the next book I read is probably one of the most thought-provoking books that I've read this year, and it was just so interesting, and it definitely gripped my attention the entire time I was reading it, and that is Breath by James Nestor. So this is a book that was recommended to me by my boyfriend, and he read it and was completely blown away by it, and he really wanted me to read it too. So as I was in the mood for nonfiction and I kind of wanted to read something a little bit different, I thought it would be perfect to read this book, and I am so glad that I did. So Breath is quite literally about breath, and it talks about how as humans we have evolved to breathe way too much and way too quickly, and how that has actually like affected us as a people, and how the shape of our jaw has changed, how our skulls have changed, because of how we breathe and how people have more sleep apnea and more allergies and more snoring than ever before. He also explores other methods of breathing like yogi flow breathing, and he also talks about monks who have the ability to heat up their body in sub-zero temperatures. And it is just so interesting, and this is something that I would never have known about or never have read about, and I just think it's so thought-provoking, and it talks so much about just how the way we breathe can completely change our lives. So I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. It was so good. Probably one of my favorites that I read this year, just because, like I said, it's so thought-provoking. There's so many like interesting things that he touches on and discusses in the book, and he's also just so invested in learning about the subject that he talks to so many different people and interviews so many different individuals and talks about breathing and ways that I never would have thought possible. At first, when I heard what was going on in the book, like when my boyfriend described it to me, I thought that it kind of sounded like wishy-washy, that it kind of sounded like pseudoscience a little bit, but all of this stuff is quite literally science-backed, and there's like a huge chunk of the book that is just a bibliography where he's citing everything that he talks about in the book. So I think it's definitely very interesting to read, and especially as someone who is constantly wanting to be healthier and be the best version of myself that I can be, this was a very pivotal book for me to read in this time in my life, and I would recommend it to anybody. So up next, I was feeling a little bit like I wanted some fantasy in my life. So I decided to pick up The Damned by Renee Ahdieh, and this is actually the sequel to The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh, which I read, I want to say, in 2019 or 2020, and it was during Spookathon, and I actually vlogged the whole thing, and I read the first book and really enjoyed it. So after several years of not dipping back into the series, I finally read book 2. So this one I can't talk too much about because it follows the events of the first book, and it is a book in a series. But I will say it takes place in New Orleans in the French Quarter in Louisiana, and I just love how atmospheric these books are because you really feel like you're like walking down the street on the cobblestone path with your skirts, and then you can smell the beignets, and like it's just so immersive. And I really love Renee Ahdieh's writing style because it is so atmospheric. So yeah, I highly recommend this series if you haven't gotten into it. I honestly forgot how much I love reading about vampires, especially in like a spicy way. Obviously it can't get too spicy because it's YA, but I really enjoy this series, so highly recommend this. Definitely check it out. I think I gave this one, yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. This one was really good. Not as good as the first in my opinion, but still good. So the next and last book that I read from late spring into early summer months is Beach Read by Emily Henry. So this one is an adult romance fiction novel, and it follows our main character January Andrews, who is an author, and in college she had a rival named August Everett, who is also a writer. She writes romance, he writes literary fiction, and they were always kind of like head to head and very competitive with each other. After a series of harsh family events, January ends up moving to North Bear, Michigan, and she ends up going to her father's beach house only to find that her nemesis, August Everett, is her neighbor. When August and January meet, they both are having a severe bout of writer's block, so they challenge each other to write in each other's genres. So January will be writing literary fiction, and August would be writing romance, even though he is a huge grumpus. So yeah, I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this one. I think this was so much fun. It was perfect to read for like early summer months, and I just love seasonal reading, so this one was absolutely perfect for me to read. I just love the trope of like sunshine heroine and then like grumpy hero. I love that trope. So this one was super good. Really enjoyed it. There's a little bit of spice in there, so yeah, I highly recommend this one. So those are all the 5 books that I read during the spring months. I hope to be doing wrap-up videos more frequently, but I just haven't been reading as frequently. So definitely keep an eye out for those videos. I'm planning on doing a book haul soon and a summer book recommendations video, so keep an eye out for that one. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave a like and subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss a single upload, and have a great day. Bye!